It's Memorial Day, and Americans nationwide hitting the beach and firing up their grills to kick off the unofficial start to the summer season. But we cannot forget the true meaning of today, remembering the men and women who made the ultimate sacrifice for our freedom. We honor and salute our military heroes today and every day. And coming up on The 5, we have a jam-packed show for you. We are facing off in a summer shopping showdown with some of our favorite Bed Bath & Beyond items, and we will also answer your fan mail questions. But first, we are diving right in with some hot topics to celebrate the summer season in the fastest. Are you ready? So first up, Americans are ready to pack up their cars and hit the open road. A new survey shows that the majority of travelers nationwide are planning to take a road trip this summer. And I know, Jimmy Faley, you must love a road trip.
How about it? Not only am I taking a road trip, but apparently I'm selling used cars.
Okay, good. That's good.
If anybody needs one.
Where do you like to go?
The Fairless Summer Road Trip is officially on the books this summer. We're starting July 5th at my stand-up gig in Vegas, and we're driving until July 13th to Colorado Springs. So we're going to go through Arizona, we're going to go through New Mexico, and then somewhere around the Colorado border, my wife will probably get out and rent a separate car and meet me in Lincoln up in Colorado
Springs.
Springs.
And go to Colorado.
Yeah, and she'll meet us in Colorado.
And you'll be seeing my sister Angie in Colorado.
And me and Angie are going to get rowdy.
Oh, yeah, that's exactly what I was thinking was going to happen. And Judge Janine Pirro, do you like a road trip?
I love a road trip.
Okay, do you have one planned?
No.
Where would you like to go if you could?
I'll go anywhere. Like I love to go, but nobody will accept me with my dogs. So we're going to go around the block a few times. I'll tell the dogs that we went to Connecticut and New Jersey, and we'll come home.
You know, the road trip I'd like to do is near going upstate New York, like the Adirondacks. I've never done that.
You know, I used to always take a road trip to see my mom in upstate New York, and I may take that road trip and visit her.
Little nostalgia.
Yeah.
Indeed. Harold Ford Jr., do you like to pack up the kids, or are you just jet setting everywhere?
No. So we're going to spend a little time in Michigan over the summer, up in Harbor Springs, and the kids will get a chance to get a lot of outdoor stuff. And we'll spend a little time on Long Island also. But I want to take my kids across Tennessee. I want to start them in Memphis, and we go all the way across the state. I used to do that as a kid, and we'd go back and forth. My dad was in Congress. We'd come home when we get out of school from D.C., then we'd drive back at the end of summer, and we'd take 2 or 3 days and do it. I think my kids could only withstand, and we could only withstand them if we were going cross-state, not all the way back to New York. So we'll see if we can get that done this summer.
Do you like road trips?
No, I hate road trips.
Because of traffic?
Because of traffic.
Are you a strict dad in the car for a road trip?
We don't take road trips, so I don't have the opportunity to do it.
I'm really good in a road trip.
Why?
Yeah,
Why?
I know when to be quiet and when to tell a story. I'm good with the radio.
Okay.
Or the audiobook or the podcast, whatever it might be. And I used to read a map very well. Peter will be dying. He's like, no, you couldn't. I really could read a map pretty well.
Who drives? Do you drive?
Peter mostly drives, yeah.
What? Do you like that?
Yeah. Are you kidding me? I love that he drives. Are you kidding? I'll tell you my favorite places I have not done. Well, a place that I went on a road trip that I love that you should do. Blue Ridge Mountains, unbelievable.
Yep.
I also, from Calgary to Jasper in Canada, that is an amazing trip. And Glacial National Park is somewhere I've never done a road trip in, and I'd like to.
How about it? Western Colorado. Gorgeous, big giant mountains.
Indeed. Uray Mountains and all that. All right. Up next, we all know barbecued burgers and hot dogs are summer favorites, but what about the sides? Well, one study finds the top 5 best cookout sides are creamy potato salad, Mexican street corn salad, Mediterranean pasta salad, coleslaw, and mac and cheese. Harold Ford Jr., you like any of those?
The coleslaw. I'm a hamburger guy. I'm a barbecue rib guy, and I'll grill a lot of chicken on this, and I like coleslaw. And you have potato salad?
Yeah, creamy potato salad.
I like creamy potato salad.
I like a vinaigrette potato salad.
Yes, that's the best. Vinaigrette potato salad is the best. Women will eat more as long as it's vinaigrette, not creamy.
I like vinegar in the coleslaw, but I like a creamy
it's great with a
salad.
potato too, with parsley and a little. But they talk about the sides. The sides that I do are very ethnic, so I'll make like hummus, and I'll make like a baba ganoush, and I'll make tabbouleh, that kind of thing. What are you laughing
Any
at?
other ethnic?
Baba ganoush. What is baba ganoush anyway?
It's eggplant.
Oh.
Would you like me to make your salad? No, you don't like eggplant.
I would love your baba ganoush.
Yeah.
Do you like what kind of size do you like?
I like when they put a watermelon block with feta cheese and a toothpick.
That's
it.
That's a road trip dish.
Yeah.
You can tell.
Yeah.
Mac and cheese and cornbread. Those are the go-tos with barbecue. You gotta have mac and cheese.
Cornbread is
barbecue
strong.
is a comfort
Cornbread.
food. And there's a reason every barbecue establishment in the world gives you cornbread. It is supposed to be there. And I think this polling is reflective of a carb-conscious people looking to get their summer body. But once you get that Instagram filter to make you look skinny, you're going back to the cornbread.
Yeah, I need
Stop
that
kidding
one.
yourself, America.
Mediterranean pasta salad I never had.
At a barbecue?
What is the Mediterranean
Well, I think that you
pasta
throw a
salad?
few cucumbers, tomatoes,
Olives.
feta
Like a Greek
cheese, and
salad.
olives.
That's
Like a
Greek
Greek
salad.
salad.
That's
like a Greek
Greek.
salad.
Yeah. So I mean,
like that.
look at
Yeah, I do
how
too.
integrated America has become. Mexican
Yes.
street corn, everything. All right. Next up, your beach day may just be what the doctor ordered. Researchers say being near the ocean can reduce your blood pressure, and taking a walk in the sand decreases stress levels and promotes mindfulness. Does anyone here not like to walk on the beach? Everybody. I mean,
Obviously.
sand is a thing.
Yeah. Obviously, I get hit on a lot because of my body. I'm just a human too. This is not a Baywatch reboot. But no, I'm very pro beach. I grew up on Long Island, so it's we went to Jones Beach.
Yeah, I think pro beach.
A big beach walk guy. Love it. And also, we wouldn't be alive without the sun. I don't like the people that wear the hats, the umbrella tents.
Sweater.
They put their children in burqas because they're afraid. Relax, people. The sun's been around for a long time. It's not going to kill you.
Yeah, but the problem is some people have to do that because they're so fair, that it develops into skin cancer.
Okay,
you have
Mom.
to protect your children, Jesse.
Okay, Dr. Pirro.
Thank you. I do have a Juris Doctor. Thank you.
Yes, she does. Harold Ford.
I'm the minority. I'm not a big beach guy. My wife and kids are. They get up every morning. They
You
walk
are a
the
minority,
beach.
but we don't look at you like that, Harold. You're just one of the five.
Team.
I mean,
On that note, up next,
Start calling
would
you
you be
Watermelon
willing
Jesse.
to ditch yourself for the sun? Nearly a third of Americans claim they would be able to disconnect and power down their phones for the entire summer. The entire summer?
I don't believe this.
I mean, we have to work.
I believe every one of these people is bringing an iPad. You know what I mean? They're all like, I could disconnect from my phone. Yeah, because it's on your watch, it's on your iPad.
Right.
They're all doing
all
it.
connected. That's a nice idea to think about.
I would be so anxious-ridden that I was missing something, or I'm not able to connect with someone. I would be apoplectic. I really would.
But if no one needed to get in touch with you, like if you're not working and no one needed to get in touch with you,
well, you
could
never
do
know
it?
when your kids need you.
Well, we're in the news business, so we can't do it.
Right.
Then we get on air and we don't know what happened today.
Yeah.
Which sometimes
Like
that
on
happens.
Harold Ford Jr. and you.
I try to leave it off an hour in the morning on Saturday, but I have TVs on everywhere, so the news I'm going to get. And as long as my kids and wife are there, I try not to look at the phone before 9 or 10
I think it
a.m.
would give us perspective, though. Like for social media, I think if you stayed off it for a week, you'd realize how unnecessary most of it is.
Yes.
For instance, dinner pictures. Okay, not necessary.
No, we don't
20
need
years
that.
ago, if you were to take a picture of your dinner and go show it to strangers, they would put you in a home. They would think there was something wrong with you.
They'd be like, why do you have a picture of this TV dinner?
You went to the trouble to develop this picture and bring it back and show strangers, they'd put you in
I'm
a home.
trying to think of the brand of the TV dinners. What were they?
Was it a
Swanson.
Swanson. Love those,
Oh, yeah.
indeed. And finally, summer may just be starting, but Americans never want it to end. A survey reveals 40% of people look forward to the season the most every year, with over 60% saying they wish summer lasted longer. Hey, Judge, with global warming, they might get their wish.
Gee, the problem is it doesn't last longer, so I don't know that they're going to get their wish. I love the summer. I love the sun. Without the sun, I feel like the world is heavy.
And Harold Ford Jr., you want longer summer, longer fall?
I
You
like
want football season?
I like the fall. I like the smell of a fireplace. I like the smell of pork cooking, and I love to turn on and watch Michigan play football. So I like the fall.
Jesse Waters.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to being a snowbird when I can just winter in the Florida and then do summers out here in the Northeast. That would be fine with me, and you can still watch football.
Very unpretentious of you, Warren.
Yes. Go,
As
Harold.
you sip mojitos and eat your watermelon and lettuce.
As a lifelong cab driver in the city, we actually preferred winter because when it warms up, you can smell the city.
That's
you know?
true.
Yeah.
It's actually better to be in your
Especially
cab
now.
during
Not
winter.
a bad point.
Hey, Sean Hannity here. Hey, click here to subscribe to Fox News YouTube page and catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis. You will not get it anywhere else.
Let's bring in our distinguished experts. We have Mike Summers, President and CEO of the American Petroleum Institute, Michael Falkender, Chief Economist at AFPI and former Assistant Treasury Secretary, and our very own Jackie DeAngelis, co-host of the Big Money Show. Jackie, I'm going to begin with you on the stock market. Higher for longer. I just think that's a key story here.
So the market's finally getting it, right? Larry, you come on our show, we come on this show, we talk about all the data that we've gotten so far. There's no reason for this market to think it's going to get rate cuts this year, yet it's been very exuberant and very excited about it. So you've got David Solomon saying no rate cuts now. Finally, the market is listening. But still, some pretty difficult comments coming from Jamie Dimon this morning also saying...
What Jamie say?
He said that it's possible we could see that hard landing after all, and that Jerome Powell didn't get this right. And a worst case scenario is going to be one where we're stuck in a state of stagflation. We've discussed it with you. But why I think today's action is really important is because it separates AI out from what the rest of the market is doing. And so AI is going to continue to move forward. We're in the very early innings of this, but other industries are having trouble. The industries that have to use the NVIDIA chips aren't necessarily making, profits just yet in that AI technology. And so when you look at the rest of the sectors and what we're hearing in retail and from the consumer right now, it's not a rosy picture. And why I say that's a positive sign is it's a wake-up call for investors who think that market keeps going up, 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 everything's great. There is a very big disconnect between the AI boom and the policies from this administration that are impacting the rest of the economy.
Well, I think this sell-off start yesterday down 200 toward the close. After the Fed minutes came out, I don't want to be minutia in the minutes, but the fact is they basically said higher for longer. That was the watchword. Faulkner, I want to go to you on this because I have a list. You're going to understand this in a minute. Hang on a second, Mike Summers, oil man that you are. Remember your point a year or two back. Why is oil prices and petroleum prices so important?
Because
you better remember this.
I do. Because they permeate every part of the economy.
There you go. Okay. And I have a little list. Now, I'm not going to read the whole. There's about 250 things in it. But just some of the things. This is why $80 a barrel, being twice $40 a barrel, is very inflationary. And we're like living with $80 a barrel, and we wonder why we can't drill, baby, drill, and have about 40. Just a few. Antifreeze, antihistamines, antiseptics, ballpoint pens, bandages, cell phones, clothes, computer keyboards, computer monitors, iPads, iPhones, laptops, deodorant, eyeglasses, shampoo, shaving cream, shoe polish, solar panels, Mr. Biden, tennis rackets, and toothpaste. And that's just a fraction. Petroleum derivatives affect the whole economy. You knock down petroleum and you limit the price and production, rather, and keep the price high, then what? You're going to have continuing, ongoing inflation. There, I said it. You got a thought on that, Mr. API? What is it? You're the head of what?
The American Petroleum Institute.
Just want to remind people.
Great to be with you, Larry. You're
Nice
exactly
to see
right.
you.
One of the big reasons why we're dealing with these inflationary pressures is because of high energy costs.
Well,
and the administration just doesn't get it. They're right now trying to put forward a new investigation on the oil industry when, in fact, it is their policies that are putting a giant wet blanket on the American oil and gas industry.
Trump dared to meet with oil and gas executives, causing the Washington Post to go all hysterical and have to apply for long-term mental health care. Is there something wrong with a presidential candidate meeting with major industry? I mean, Joe Biden doesn't meet with any climate change people, does he? Does he meet with solar people? Does he meet with wind turbine people? I don't know who he meets with. Does he stand on his own 2 feet? I mean, was it a bad thing that Trump met with the oil and gas people?
Well, what I want to say today is that it is a high time for the President of the United States to come and meet with the American oil and gas industry.
You mean this current Biden
current president?
You mean he hasn't met with them?
We had the opportunity to meet with President Trump just a couple of weeks ago, where we outlined our agenda. He outlined his. There's no crime in doing that. We want to meet with President Biden very soon to talk about the policies that he's pursuing today that are undermining American oil and gas. What they're doing now is they continue to release more oil, more gasoline from the Strategic Petroleum Reserve at a time when we're going to see more driving because of the Memorial Day holiday. In fact, we estimate that about 400,000 more barrels a day are going to be used because of the summer driving season. We need more production of oil and gas and gasoline in the United States if we're going to ease the pressure on American consumers.
All right, I'll go back to your list, but I want to go beyond your list. One reason it's very nearly impossible to tame inflation is government spending. All right, I don't want to let that go. We talked about it last night. The Fed is pushing down on the brake. But the fiscal side, the Biden spending side, has got the foot on the accelerator to the floor. They would love to spend $1.6 trillion that has been obligated by Congress, but not yet spent. Now, to spend that in 6 months is not an easy thing to do, but they'd love to do it. And the point I'm making is, unless the spending stops or slows, the inflation won't either.
That's right, because almost all of it is going to be deficit financed. And so what you've got going on is that you've got way too much stimulus going into the economy. At the same time, we don't have the domestic capacity in order to serve those needs. And bringing it back to AI, just let's remember, AI is probably one of the most energy-intensive industries that there is. And so how is it that we're going to realize this AI boom? How is it that we're going to stay ahead technologically of the Chinese while we're at the same time curtailing our ability to serve our own energy needs? So we've got to get the spending down, we've got to deregulate, but we have also got to be consistent that if the source of growth, if the source of economic power is going to come from technological advancements, we have got to grow our capacity to provide energy domestically.
You know, Jackie, apropos of nothing, I had Senator Rubio on, and he agreed on the need for deregulation and lower tax rates. He was not. Now he was pleasantly surprised. We did a little economic white paper right there on the set in an 8-minute interview. But I think the economy yearns for that. I think the whole economy, and that includes, what is drill, baby, drill? Fundamentally, it's a deregulation of fossil fuel restrictions and permitting and all the rest of that stuff. How much difference would that make?
I think it would make a massive difference. So if you bring down one of the largest input costs, which is energy, that's going to impact how businesses run, how efficiently, and possibly maybe they can bring their prices down. It's also going to be good for the consumer. When we talk about taxes, when consumers are paying more for stuff, that's an extra tax on them. When you talk about President Biden wanting to let the Trump tax cuts expire, they're going to have to find more money to pay the government the taxes that they owe. And so ultimately, you can't squeeze blood out of an onion. I think people are kind of squeezed enough. I talk to people every day who say, my kids have 2 jobs or 3 jobs and they still can't make ends meet. They're exhausted and they're killing themselves. And so that's where this disconnect comes in. And there's a new survey out that says most Americans actually feel like we are in a recession, because that's how it feels when they go to the grocery store. Last point on taxes, the corporate tax rate. If you want to raise that, you're going to end up having corporations lay more people off, right? Because they're going to have to make the bottom line.
You're going to kill wages.
Somehow.
You're going to kill wages. So, this $400,000, it's a red herring. It has nothing to do with anything. We learned when Trump cut the corporate tax rate, wages went up a lot. Right. $6,000, I think, and more than the entire Obama-Biden administration, if I'm not mistaken. Last word, Faulkner.
Yeah, let's remember that it's not just the shareholders that pay corporate taxes. It is the workers and it is the customers, because a lot of it gets passed on either in the form of price increases or lower wages. And so that is not the way to generate growth and improve a lot of the American people.
Drill, baby, drill. Drill, baby, drill, cut taxes and deregulate. Mike Summers, thank you. Michael Faulkner, Jackie DeAngelis, we appreciate it. All right, folks, staying with the border issues. I spoke earlier today with Florida Senator Marco Rubio about that issue and a lot more. Please take a listen. All right, we welcome back to the show Florida Senator Marco Rubio. Senator, we appreciate your time. Thanks for coming back on, sir.
Thank you. Thanks for having me back.
All right. You know, you have a piece up on Fox Digital a couple days ago. Biden's open border lets ISIS walk right into the U.S. And I agree with you. I think this is a pretty major problem. The question is, what should we be doing about it?
Well, we have to stop the continued flow. I have no hope of that at this point, because the Biden administration is continuing to allow people to enter the country and has been releasing them. You know, what they rely on is they say, well, we vet everyone that's at the border. Well, they can't. Because some of these parts of the world that people come from, we don't have any information about them. We have no databases from there. And so we don't know if they're terrorists or are here to do terrorism. But if you just think about this, right, if it's 9-10 million people, if just a small percentage of them, and they've come from all over the world, just a small percentage of them have been sent here to conduct a terrorist attack, that's a lot of people, and that's a lot of terrorism. So I take the warnings, if you read between the lines what the FBI director has been saying repeatedly now over the last couple months, this is perhaps, if not one of the most dangerous moments domestically in over a decade or longer in the United States, because it's just the sheer number of people that have come in from all over the world that we have no idea who they are, and because we know that ISIS has been in the business of trafficking people to the U.S., meaning charging them to do it. But common sense tells you if they have a business moving people, they would move their own terrorists using that same network.
Yeah, we were talking on last night's show, sir. We were talking about this very subject. There's a lot of people coming in from the Middle East. There's also a lot of people coming in from China. They seem to be able-bodied males. In fact, yeah, a whole bunch of Chinese coming in, actually clean-shaven, dressed up with suitcases, walking across the border, essentially unhindered. And nobody knows who they are or where they've gone. And that cannot be a good thing.
Well, look, anytime, this is not immigration, this is mass migration. It's uncontrolled, it's chaotic, and that's not good under any circumstance. But much less when you know that there are groups all over the world, not just from the Middle East, from Central Asia, that have cells of ISIS terrorists and Al-Qaeda terrorists who seek to conduct operations in the United States. So you just put it together. They want to attack America in America. It's easier than ever to get into America and stay. They don't have to worry about being vetted at the border because there's no records of them to check on. Common sense tells you these things all come together and the threat is upon us. I truly believe, and I have reason to believe, and I think we all have reason to believe based on common sense, that in this country right now there are people that are here for the purposes of conducting a terrorist attack. How many? Who knows, but too many.
So, Senator Rubio, there's, continued reports that Joe Biden, after saying he had no executive authority, is now going to come up with some executive order. 4,000 people coming in is okay, but the 4,001st person is not okay, or something like that. Nobody really much believes in it. What's happening with that? Do you know anything else?
Only in the media reports. But what he has to really do in order to fix this problem, he's in a vice. He has to reinstitute the Trump program, which is what he got rid of with his executive orders. He had over 90 executive orders on immigration, basically executive orders telling Border Patrol and DHS not to enforce the law or creating all kinds of exceptions in the law, whether it's parole, whether it's releasing people pending an asylum hearing, allowing people to come in, turn themselves in and go. If you come to this country illegally, cross the border, turn yourselves in, you have an 88% chance of being released into the country. All of that is because of the executive orders that he put in place to repeal the Trump policies.
And you think it's time to now, under a new administration, presumably, it's time to look to deportation. We're going to have to deport, at least we're going to have to deport the criminals. The numbers are so big here. You've changed your view from several years ago. I've changed my view, Senator. I think a lot of people have changed their view about that because the numbers have gotten to be so huge.
Well, I've changed because the issue has changed. The problem has changed. There's a big difference between saying there's 10 or 11 million people that have been here longer than a decade. Some were brought in as kids. They've been here a long time. There's a difference between that and there's those 11 million plus another 15 to 20 more on top of them that have come in since, including 10 million in the last year by the time Joe Biden is done. Okay, in the last 3 years by the time Joe Biden is done. That's a big difference. And so what is it that drives illegal migration? It is perception. If you believe that getting here is easier than it used to be and staying is easier than it used to be, that you have a good chance to get here and a good chance to stay, you're going to come. And that's what's driving people. When Trump was in office, they didn't think it would be easy to get here and they didn't think it would be easy to stay. The numbers went down.
No, got it. Roger that. One last one, Senator. We're going to have some fun on this. Your op-ed in the Washington Post, Why I Believe in Industrial Policy Done Right. I'm probably one of the free market guys that you were criticizing in this speech. So I love the column. Let me ask you something. Suppose I said to you, I agree that our defense industrial base has faltered. I agree with you. And suppose I said to you, I agree that our manufacturing base has faltered and weakened. I mean, my great friend Bob Lighthizer agrees with that. I mean, I think you're absolutely right about that. Then the question is, though, how much government intervention do you really want, Senator Rubio?
Well, I don't know if it's government intervention as much as it is government incentive. We want to incentivize the behavior of bringing things here. And you do that in two ways. One is you put tariffs on foreign imports in these key sectors. Look, I'd like to do it on everything, obviously, but that's not ideal economically. You have to do it on sectors that you've identified as critical to the national interest. And it's not just military gear, it's pharmaceuticals, the ability to make medicine. It's rare earth minerals that the Chinese manipulate all over the world. Our technology, we can't make it if we don't have access to those things and those rare earth minerals that China has cornered the market on and has grown their control of that market. So these are critical to our national interest, and those are the industries we need to identify and then incentivize. Now, you think in the case of rare earth minerals, the Chinese are subsidizing it. So basically, it is being sold on the global market below the cost of mining it. Okay? There's no way to compete against that unless you yourself have to step in and do something to create a marketplace that people can go into, because who can invest in something where you're going to lose money? Only the Chinese can, because they're subsidizing that industry. So we have to be careful. This can't expand to every business in the world or every industry, but there are some that are critical to our country, and there are some things like that we're going to have to do, and that includes denying entry into a marketplace on these critical for these critical goods and commodities from countries like China that are deliberately manipulating the market as a strategic imperative, not as an economic one.
So I agree with that. I agree with most of that, as far as I understand it. Look, I think unfair trading practices is the catch-all, particularly regarding China, but not only China. The European Union has unfair trading practices also, as I'm sure you know, and we worry about China sneaking through Mexico to dodge the USMCA. But my thought here, Senator, is we don't I mean, the Bidens spent a fortune, over $1 trillion, on the misnamed Inflation Reduction Act and all this crazy climate change that the public, by the way, completely rejects. You see it in poll after poll. We can't spend a lot of money because we got to get inflation down. So my thought to you, sir, is this. Why don't we be vigilant about unfair trading practices, use tariffs where necessary to negotiate, but meanwhile, cut tax rates and cut all the Biden regulations so we would provide incentives for our manufacturing here at home and take the red tape out of the equation. So it would be a combination. Go after unfair trading practices, but let's have some free market incentives on lower tax rates and regulations at home.
100%.
What do you think about that,
That's 100%.
Senator?
No, that's 100% right. I mean, we want to create the incentives to do it here. We want to create a disincentive to bring in things that are unfairly being brought here because they're being subsidized or manipulated, especially from China, on all kinds of industries. And we do want to avoid. So in the Inflation Reduction Act and even in the CHIPS Act, what they're doing is they're taking money and they're basically they're not funding the industrial capacity of the United States. They're funding favored industries that happen to be in the green energy field. And by the way, as a result of it, indirectly funding the Chinese companies, whether it's solar panels or electric cars or what have you. So that is just, they call it inflation reduction, but it doesn't do anything to reduce inflation. It takes government money and spends it in the name of industrial policy. It spends it on pet projects that are part of their broader narrative on climate change and things of that nature. It is not geared towards the national interest. It is geared towards a base of their party.
Well,
that's totally different from what I'm for.
Well, Roger, that too. See, just in a few minutes here, we've created a whole economic policy white paper just during this short interview. And Senator Rubio, you're a great sport. Thank you for coming back on the show,
Thanks for having me.
Right, we've got about 14 minutes left to trade. Millions about to leave, skedaddle the office and sail into Memorial Day weekend. The summer boating season has officially kicked off, but the industry, which enjoyed a record sales boom during the pandemic, now sees its engines idling a bit more frequently as would-be buyers remain cautious amid inflation and high borrowing rates. Brunswick is the largest boating technology company in the world, with Boston Whaler, Bayliner, Sea Ray, and Mercury among its brands. The company has seen demand cool. So how has Brunswick managed to post a historic 2023, which saw its second best year on record? Joining me now on a Fox Business exclusive, Brunswick Corporation CEO David Folks. David, I remember during the pandemic, demand was so hot, people couldn't find a dinghy to purchase, let alone a Sea Ray. Give me the current state of spending right now. It's not as hot, right?
No, it's not quite as hot, Liz. We've certainly gone from the supply constraint situation during the height of the pandemic to a more demand constraint situation. But if you look from immediately before the pandemic to now, the industry is down probably about 17% during that period.
17%. OK, but yet your premium brands, they're not experiencing a slowdown.
No, the market is definitely bifurcated at the moment. Certainly, high interest rates are impacting our more value consumers and some core consumers. But we're seeing really a strong continuing demand for our premium brands and products. As you mentioned, our brands like Sea Ray, Boston Whaler, large horsepower Mercury engines, and our advanced electronics that go along with those boats are really standing up very well. And in fact, in the early season boat shows like the Miami Boat Show, we had record sales. So we're continuing to see that difference in the market. But we are, of course, working to make sure that we get as many people on the water as possible. So in the value and core parts of our market, we're offering more incentives, for example, to make boating more affordable.
Well, let's talk about that, because even wealthy people are concerned about a possible recession, although we've been hearing about this for 2 years now and it hasn't come. We're overdue for a recession, folks. That's just a fact of the markets and of life. However, it's important to point out, David, that you wouldn't be a smart businessman if you weren't preparing to make sure you have offerings in different forms than we've seen in the past. You have a subscription service now. To me, it almost looks like a fractional jet ownership, like NetJets for boats. Talk about it. Explain what it costs to viewers who might be interested or certainly watching any kind of bump your stock would get from it.
Yeah, so it's called Freedom Boat Club, and it operates a bit like a golf club. So you pay a joining fee and then monthly membership fees. And for that, you get access to a fleet of boats at your home location. Typically, that might be 30 or so new or nearly new boats. But you also get access to the more than 400 Freedom Boat Club locations that we have worldwide in the US and Canada, in many of the countries in Europe and even in Australia. So you get to boat pretty much anywhere you want. And the convenience aspect is that the boat is ready when you arrive, and no cleaning. When you finish, you just drop it off again. You don't need to gas the boat. So it's very convenient for those who are under more time pressure.
Well, are you?
But it allows you to boat in a whole range of locations.
I need to know, how are bookings looking? Is everything snapped up? And how much does this cost? If you could just reiterate that.
Yes, bookings are very strong, and we're continuing to grow year over year. We have about 100,000 members now, and about 5,000 boats in the fleet. Typically, the joining fee is in the $5,000 to $6,000 range, and the monthly fees would be around $400 to $500.
Okay. Well, it's an opportunity to get on the water without the headache of an engine that just craps out. David, good to see you.
You need to watch this if you struggle with feeling heard. What's something people don't know about unlocking their desires? It's simpler than you think. Picture this. New York, rush hour, everybody's hustling, but sometimes you just gotta stop and ask for what you want. Jesus laid it out pretty clear. Ask and it's yours. Seek and you'll find. Knock and that door's gonna swing wide open. Now, I ain't talking about whispering into the wind here. I'm talking about the kind of asking with conviction, the kind of seeking like it's Black Friday at Macy's, and the kind of knocking that says, hey, I mean business. So what's the real secret? It's all about taking action with a capital A. You gotta be bold, you gotta be persistent, and most importantly, you gotta believe it's already yours. That's not just spirituality, that's street smart wisdom right there. So next time you're aiming for something, remember, just ask, seek, knock. And hey, don't just stand there, go get what you want.